Welcome back to this presentation of the Neural Pathway to Wealth program. Previously, we talked about the major issues in our world today and took a look at some of the solutions that are available to fix these problems. We also came to an understanding that in order for global equity to become a reality, only one final step is yet to be taken to bring it all together. We need to make change our priority. So it's not a new discovery or invention that is still lacking in this equation, because, as mentioned before, all the tools required to meet the most fundamental basis of human needs are already available out there. The only thing now that's left to do is to change our way of thinking and make creating unity our main goal for the upcoming years. But how is this going to come about? Well, the answer to this may be simpler than most of us would think. The need for this is coded in each and every one of us and every living being in the universe. It's called evolution. New scientific evidence reveals that when it comes to us, humans, the theory of evolution could be entirely different from what we've been led to believe until now for such a long time. I believe that our major problems here on Earth today fundamentally originate from the concept of separation. Our belief and perception that we are separate indicate that one can be better than the other, or that one can thrive without the other. Our first understanding of the universe, where life is based on this disempowering belief, actually comes from science. In fact, it originates from Charles Darwin himself. Darwin's understanding was that life is a struggle and that evolution occurs through struggle for survival. In order to evolve, we have to fight ourselves up on the evolutionary ladder. Problem? Recent scientific findings shows crystal clear evidence that this idea was completely false. So let's take a look at the driving force behind evolution as proposed by the old Darwinian model, and then we will discover the new science that now provides us with a completely new understanding.
Set me free, come on little girl.
According to the old idea, animals reproduce much faster on this planet than plants do. And the plant means food, so there will be a constant competition for the food. So if there are more animals than food, life suddenly turns into a struggle for survival, as only the fastest, strongest and fittest can get to the food. So rather than describing evolution as a process in which we are all participating together in harmony with each other, Darwin theorized that the fittest would survive and evolve, while the weakest would consequently drop out of the equation. In other words, we can only succeed at the expense of others. Because of this perception of what it takes to survive, we have literally turned our world into a war zone and systematically destroying it right from under our noses. And most of our non-supportive and destructive behavior patterns are motivated from this false belief. The problem with this way of thinking is that our new scientific understanding of the world around us suggests that Darwin's theory was based on a completely false assumption. Modern science now proposes a new theory in which the universe is actually not a war zone at all. What the truth turns out to be is that life and evolution of life in the universe are actually based on something else, which has never been heard from science before. It is actually based, our universe works based up on harmony and cooperation. And challenge and competition are actually destroying us, as we can see it in the world around us today. Because we've been treating evolution as a fight and struggle, we ended up creating more and more of the fight and the struggle, up to the point that now we almost completely destroyed our own planet. You need proof for that? Take a look around the world. We have previously discussed the amount of damage our competitive behavior has caused. We have now officially brought our civilization close to extinction. So now let's take a look at the brand new scientific understanding of evolution that is now being revealed instead. Everywhere on Earth, people live in groups, creating communities. It's coded in the DNA of every living organism to seek for a community, including us humans. This is part of survival. Community allows us to become more of what we are. It enhances our capabilities. The year 2003 was a very special date in the calendar of many evolutionary scientists. That was the date when the world's largest collaborative biological project ever, the Human Genome Project, came to completion. And the actual results of the Human Genome Project changed our scientific thinking forever. Out of nowhere, the old model, the old theory that evolution was based on developing more gene complexity whilst getting stronger and stronger in the fight for survival, suddenly collapsed. So scientists now all of a sudden had to come up with a new theory. And here is where our new understanding of evolution comes in, because it turned out that the key to evolution is consciousness. Just like in every area in science we touched already so far, physics, biology and medicine, consciousness was again left out of the equation. So now, once again, science suddenly stepped out of the rigid material explanation of our reality and stepped into the world of the mystical and the unknown, because it turned out that it's actually the elevation or enhancement of awareness that causes evolution happening. As our current understanding, first life forms on our planet were single organisms, the bacteria. So if we take into account consciousness as the driving force of evolution, at some point bacteria simply stopped evolving. It can only get so smart, it can only have so much of an awareness squeezed into its tiny body. Nature, however, found a way around it, and this is precisely where the mysterious began. This coming principle holds the capability to fully transform human life on this planet, if we choose to accept it. But nature created a need, a sense, a gut feeling in humans for seeking community. Nature's way of further evolving humanity was to bring humans together as one community to share and expand its awareness, just like how it did with the first group of bacteria. We have stopped the process of evolution by systematically starting to separate ourselves from one another, by creating borders between countries, by creating politics and coming up with religion which serves one purpose only. They are false, man-made beliefs that create separation. We have been creating individual labels such as rich, poor, black, white, gay, straight, mentally ill and healthy, Muslim and Christian. And by consciously separating ourselves from our planetary brothers and sisters, we have stopped evolution again. The key of evolution now lays in our capability to come together again in peace and harmony, without labels, and share awareness, just like the bacteria did 1,000 millennia ago. Nature has been following the same pattern of evolution from the very beginning of life here on Earth. So since we are part of nature, we are also inescapably part of this pattern. Imagine how much the evolutionary process could speed up by if we were able to change our ways of thinking and behaving and our approaches towards each other. Our next step in the evolutionary process is to allow ourselves to become a Type 1 civilization. I'm confident we are likely to see such shift in our generation. So this is why I believe we have reached the most exciting part ever in human history. But for this shift to happen, we need to completely change our ways. And we need to do that now, before we are running out of time. So in summary, according to the new model of understanding, as long as we continue creating labels that separate us from each other, there is no evolution. But we are stuck now, and there is no stillness in nature as we already know it, because stillness in nature is antagonistic to life. Life is based on movement and continuous progression. So either we change now, or nature will take care of us on her own way. And all of the greatest people in history knew that. They didn't just paint or sing, sculpt or talk about all this because they couldn't come up with anything better in the fight for fame. These guys, our greatest minds and talents, are literally on a mission to wake up the world and spread the message of our evolution in their own ways or languages. In many cases, they have been giving us exact descriptions and instructions through their songs, for example, about the world crisis and how to fix it, and the next steps of human evolution. It is science now that's catching up with them. They might not have been able to articulate their message in a logical, scientific way, but they were following an inner voice, an intuition. But we have to recognize that evolution is coded in all living things. The bacteria didn't know why they experienced the urge to come together, but they did it anyway. And that's evolution. The amoebas didn't care which other amoebas they are coming together with to work in harmony to create something greater than themselves. They didn't care if it was a Jewish amoeba or a Muslim amoeba or a Christian amoeba or a gay or lesbian amoeba. These are only things we made up in our heads, wrong programming that can be changed. But we need to realize that essentially we are all on the same page, on the basic level. We all want exactly the same things. So in summary, what science tells us today, in contrast with our old understanding, is that challenge and competition simply do not work when it comes to human evolution. It rather looks like the universe is based on awareness and cooperation. We are now at a junction from where we must decide which way to go. If we choose to continue the old way, our ending might be painful and just around the corner. On the other hand, if we choose to live a new, accepting life, we will evolve, prosper and thrive. So how can we let this new story unfold? How will this happen? Well, that's what this program is all about. We are doing that right now as we speak. We must start with you, with your story, with your life. And once you are strong enough, you can begin to influence your environment and expand from there. And well done, by the way, you are doing that right now. I'd like to thank you for joining me in this chapter of the Neural Pathway to Wealth program. Be sure to join me in the final chapter in which we are going to do something very special together, so be sure to stay tuned. I can't wait to see you there. Bye for now.